Welcome to my coffee chat today. It is June 27th, 2024, and today I am going to talk about my wildly fun experience that I had with applying to several jobs in my role and what happened and how I feel like it's really hard to get a job when you're 47. So I have kids that are going to be completely gone and in college, and so I'm going to be an empty nester. So I currently work for a utility company and work in finance and accounting. I have been at that position for 25 years. I started in this position when I left college, and I have been at the same company my whole entire career. So I have moved a few positions in the company, but right now I work in finance and accounting. So I prepare most of the financial statements, do payroll, HR duties, things like that. Now we do live in a really rural community in northern Minnesota. So the opportunities for moving to other companies and other places is very, 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 very hard. It's not like we live in the Twin Cities metro area where you can probably, find a job with the experience I have. So anyway, since my kids were getting ready to go to college, I thought I have obviously a wildly fun life where I create a community of people that are reinventing their lives after their children go to college. Basically, you feel like you're almost starting over. It's kind of exciting, kind of scary. I love my kids to death, but sometimes it's nice to just think, oh, what could I reinvent and what could I change? So I'm on a mission to have a wildly fun second half of my life. So I do a lot of experiments on my on my channel. Most of my channel is travel, dogs, food, different thoughts I have, basically just community information for people that are in about the same stage of life that I am. But I thought, for the heck of it, I am going to try to apply for 4 jobs and see what happens. Like, I have not applied for a job in probably 20 years. I have seen a few things come and go and done some. So the first thing I had to do was update my resume. So I did have my college-age daughter. Actually, she's in grad school right now. I had her help me redesign my resume so it was up and modern, and I didn't really go into a lot of depth on my resume because I was kind of doing this as a test to kind of see what would happen. So I had her help me redo my resume. I got that completely redone. That was a challenge because I had so many things to list on there and you can't all fit it on one page. Anyway, that's a whole nother story for another day. But so we redid the resume. I had in my mind, I wanted to apply for 4 positions that doubled my salary. And the reason I did this is because at my age, if you're going to make a change with vacation and benefits and your years of service and all of those things that come into working in a position for a long time, it needs to be significant. So I narrowed my search down to applying for 4 jobs that where my salary would be double. Kind of hard to find a few that would fit in there. I can travel a little bit more now that my kids are in college. I still have my 2 black labs, so I don't want to be gone all the time because I'm like the most lovable dog mom on the planet, so I don't want to be gone all the time. But I had, so I picked 4. I picked one in banking, one that does rural electric banking. I picked one at a national association for cooperatives, since I do work for a nonprofit cooperative. I picked one in a completely different industry, which was a sourcing company that was hiring an organizational development manager, and I picked one for a CEO position in Fargo, which is about an hour and a half drive. That one I probably wouldn't have taken anyway because it would have required a move and a change. So let me tell you about my experience with some of these companies. The very first one was a national organization that did financial planning and it was a relationship position, so you had to travel, meet with employees in their organization about their pensions and 401ks and different things like that. Well, first of all, I didn't have the qualifications that you needed because things have changed so much, so you really need the professional certifications, which I could probably get. Do I really want to go back to school at age 46? I don't know if my learning style is back to being able to pass those type of tests. I probably could have done it, but the pay was really low, and it was that you had to be on the road 4 to 5 days a week. I interviewed for that one. As soon as she told me how much travel was involved, which was not in the description of the position, I declined and decided that one was not going to be for me. Granted, this is mostly an experiment to kind of see what happens when you're midlife applying for different jobs when you haven't applied for a really long time. The next one I did was a company called Sourcewell. This company was looking for an organizational development officer. I reached out to the CEO to kind of just get some information on what they were looking for. It sounded like to me that they were replacing their human resource manager, but bringing this person in because they were going to increase their company personnel by 100 to 200 people within the next year. I was selected for an interview on this one with their HR manager and the chief of operations. I felt the interview went very well. I got a email like 2 days later that said, we're not interested because your background doesn't match what they were looking for. Basically, this was an all remote position, and the hiring manager did tell me that they received 200 to 300 applications for this position because it was 100% remote, and there are so many people looking for remote positions. So that one unfortunately did not work out. I did look to see if that position was still open, and it's actually still open on their website, so I'm not 100% sure what happened. The one thing that really threw me off on this one was all of the leadership, except for the human resources manager, are men. And the chief operating officer was very intense, which I'm fine with intense, but I kind of got the feeling that they're looking for a male. And I'm not sexist at all, but I really got that feeling. All of their higher level leadership are all men, which is very disappointing because I think it's good to have some women. I'm not feminist or anything, but it's good to have some women on your leadership panel. Okay, so the next one's banking. So I chose a company. This one was located out of Denver. This one was really frustrating. This one I applied back in April. The position had been open for a while. It had no end date or when they were going to start looking for people on there. This one was a relationship manager for banking companies, so you would actually go in and manage the relationships with their customers in a territory. So this territory was Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, which I'm, in northern Minnesota, pretty much I'm really not by the border, but it would have been a lot of driving to manage all of these banks. And so the interesting thing about this one is I did not hear a word from them. Even though I tried to call, reach out to the recruiter for the bank, it was absolutely impossible to get through to anybody. I tried to email, I tried to find them on LinkedIn. I tried to do everything that you can do to try to figure out why I was getting absolutely no response. So 2 months later, at the beginning of June, I get an email that said, or actually not an email, she sent me a text message, which I thought was like wild. Maybe that's just the way it works nowadays, to get a text message for an interview. So I did do a 30-minute interview with her, got all of the information, and actually was really interested in this position. I really liked the bank, liked their bonus that they had. They have a really nice bonus program. And so I went with her. So anyway, a week later, she sent me a message and said, I'll keep you up to date on what's going to happen. We should know something by the next week. Well, a week went by and I still hadn't heard anything from the recruiter to see if I was moving on to the next interview or not. And she never responded. I texted her 4 times. I left 4 voicemails on the number that she called me from. I sent her 3 emails and never got a response at all. I was like, wow, 2 weeks and no response from a recruiter. It just seemed fishy and weird to me. So then I finally got an email last week that said that they had hired an internal candidate to take that position and thanked me for my time. So we're at 2.5 months from when I first applied for this position. And this isn't a senior leadership position, so I was a little taken aback about how lackadaisy their HR department was for a big bank, and that just really surprised me. I shouldn't say it's a big bank. I think they have about 2,000 employees, so it's not a huge bank. But anyway, so I wasn't too impressed with how long that took. And then all I could think about was, what about all these people that are actually looking for a job and don't have a job, and they need to pay their bills, and they're waiting 2.5 months to even hear from a company before they would even get any type of communication. I just really disagree with that. And that kind of soured me on the company a little bit. So I think that one's probably a no-go. The 4th one I applied for was a CEO position in Fargo. This was at a rural electric co-op. This one had a search company that was doing this. I don't have a management title, and I was rejected based on my title. So I don't like resumes, and I don't like applying for jobs where people don't know you. And I think this is what I'm getting at on the whole entire spiel of this 10 to 15 minute video is I really feel that until someone can get to know you and get to know what type of an employee you are and what type of a person you are, I think rejecting people based on their title, their background, and their experience is rather ignorant. I think getting to know people from a human resources perspective is much more effective, besides just looking at them on paper. So I'm kind of thinking that like maybe companies should require a video, like application video, so that they can get the personality of the people versus just on paper. So if I was an HR professional, which I do some HR, that's what I would do. I would say, I want a video. I want you to email me a video of why you want to work for this company, so you can see the people on the screen, you can see who you're working with, you can see them that are just not on paper. It's just crazy. And then I have one little bonus thing that I did apply for. So our local technical college was hiring an accounting instructor. Now, the pay was terrible. The pay would have been a reduction of what I make now, and probably wouldn't have been. I would have been able to have summers off, but I'm really not probably the best teacher. But I thought, well, I'm gonna apply for this. My definitely qualifications are off the chart for this position. So I sent in my application, and actually I got an email at the beginning of this week saying they wanted my transcripts to make sure that I had 16 or 24, I can't remember, hours of higher level accounting at the graduate level in order to be qualified to even get an interview for this position. Okay, so I have a 4-year degree in accounting and finance, and I have a master's degree in, an MBA with an emphasis in leadership. I have two and a half degrees because I have the minor. And because I didn't have 16 hours because I added it up, 16 hours of higher level accounting classes, they said I wasn't qualified. But I mean, I have worked in accounting for 25 years, and I have an undergrad in accounting. So I have a lot of real life experience. So that one really threw me off because they're going to hire somebody right out of college that has the right educational qualifications but not the real world experience. And I guess that's what kind of threw me off, because I feel like you learn more from having experience versus book work. So that was interesting. Anyway, then the funny thing was, so this is part of my wildly fun life. The funny thing is I went to go pull up my transcript and I completely forgot how bad my grades were in my undergrad. I kind of had a little bit of a rough patch from age 18 to 21, like a lot of people do. And my grades were not very good. So I didn't even want to give them my transcript. And I do not want to show my kids my transcript because one's going into college and one's in their master's degree right now. And wow, I kind of forgot. So actually, I encourage you to pull out your transcript and see if you remember what kind of grades you got, because I was a little like, wow, I don't really want to give my transcript to anybody. So anyway, so I'm going back to, since my wildly fun life experiment didn't really work, I am going back to, this is why I have my YouTube channel, so I can control my own destiny, control my own fate, and not have to worry about someone else wondering if my qualifications are good enough for them to pay me. So part of discovering myself again after my kids have gone to college, it's very eye-opening that I've kind of shifted from wanting to be a W-2 employee to wanting to do my own thing, wanting to control my own destiny. And that is why I love my content creation and all of these fun things that are coming up. So I have, part of my channel is, like I said, reinventing myself to have a wildly fun life. And I've got some really cool ideas coming. I've got some traveling coming up. I spend most of the time in the summer on the lake. But that's my favorite place to be all summer. So I don't really travel a lot in the summer because I do a lot of outdoor shows and a lot of outdoor fishing and things like that. But we do some in the winter. And I'm also considering, when I was younger, when I was an entrepreneur, I had a concession stand from age 18 to 21. And that was during my bad years where I didn't do very good in school. And I loved it. I was in control of my own destiny, how much I made, was how many events I went to, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm thinking about maybe heading in that direction and doing some fun events in the summers and in the falls. So stay tuned. This might be fun to watch, and I really appreciate you staying to the end of this video so that you could kind of hear about my experience with all of this. So anyway, thank you, and we'll talk soon.